guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a fun video, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about my TBRs and how I am planning on switching this up a little bit. So every other month I decided I'm going to do different types of TBRs, but it's going to be like each video is going to be a book. So I'm going to pick a book in a really unique way, and that's going to pick like my next read, and then I'm going to vlog reading that book, and it's going to be like one video, and then the next video will be another unique way of picking my next read, and then I'll do like a reading vlog with it. And so the entire month is going to be like, you know, unique ways of picking my next read in a reading vlog. And then the next month I'll do the basic, you know, like TBR jar picking videos that I always do, and then the next month will be another unique ways of picking my next read videos with like the cozy vlogs and stuff. So I think this is going to be really fun. It's going to be kind of like a fun way to like switch things up a little bit, because I love doing TBRs and stuff, but I kind of want to do just some different things, because as fun as TBRs are to watch, sometimes I really like just like really unique concepts, and I want to just kind of get creative with fun ways to pick my next read. So this first one is going to be really fun because I have my TBR jar prompts here. And so I'm still going to be using my TBR prompts, which is going to be fun, but it's going to be narrowing it down to one single book, and then that's the book I'm going to read based on what this picked out for me. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a TBR prompt, and it's going to say like, pick a book with flowers on the cover. So then I have to pick a whole bunch of books on my shelf with flowers on the cover. And then I pick another prompt, and it says like script font on the cover. So out of all the flowers on the cover, I have to find the ones with script font, and it's going to narrow it down more. And then I pick out another one. So it's going to narrow it down slowly to one single book. And that's the book I'm going to read next, and then I'll log it for you guys. So it's going to be really fun. Let's just go ahead and jump in, and this is going to be a fun little cozy reading vlog with a little bit of like a TBR twist. So let's go ahead and pick the first prompt. And some of these I'm not going to use. Like, there's going to be certain ones where it just narrows it down too quickly, you know, like my dog picks or something like that. And I feel like I don't want to just like narrow it down to one right away. Like, I want it to slowly kind of like narrow itself down. So some of these prompts I'm going to skip if I pick them, because it just doesn't really work for this like challenge or whatever. So I hope you understand. Oh, that's sad. It says Yuki's Choice. Rest in peace, Euchers. Okay, so let's try this again. A book that starts with the. So any book that starts with the. So this is going to be a good first one, because I feel like there's a lot of books to choose from. So I'm going to pick all the books that I can find on my shelf, or most of the ones that I can find on my shelf. If I don't want to read them, I'm not going to put them in there. But most of the books that start with the. Okay, so those are a lot of the books, not all of them, but a lot of the books that I'm kind of maybe interested in reading. Obviously some more than others, but those are the ones that I could find that start with the. This was a great first prompt because I feel like it was really easy to pick a whole bunch of books. So now I'm going to pick a second prompt and then narrow it down even more. A book that is warm toned. So the cover has to be like a warm color. So like red, orange, yellow. Okay, so I feel like this is warm because it's red, obviously. This is not warm, not warm, not warm, not warm. I was really wanting to read this one too, but it's okay. This one, I would say, this has cool and warm, but I'm going to count it because there's a lot of a warm shade on it. So we're going to keep that one. This is obviously warm. Not warm. None of those are warm. This is warm, I feel like. There's a lot of cool tones, but because like the sun is shining in, it just looks really warm to me. So I'm going to keep that one. And do you guys think this counts as warm? No, that's not warm. Okay, you guys, so that only leaves 4 books. I thought this was going to be like a much like longer process, but apparently not. But we are going to pick the next prompt to see how much more I'm going to narrow it down. A book with a pretty cover. Okay, so this is more subjective. If I had to narrow these down based on pretty covers, I'm going to take The Collective away because I don't think this is like necessarily pretty. So that one goes. This one, I think this is pretty for a romance, but I don't think it's pretty in the sense where I would like look at this cover and be like, oh, I need to pick that up because of the cover. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take that one out. Now, I've always loved this cover, The Girls by Emma Cline. I've always thought it was really, really cool. So I'm going to keep that one. And then also the Spell Shop, obviously, because it's gorgeous. So those are the last two. Okay, you guys, so that left me with 2 books. And we're going to see if we can pick a prompt that's going to narrow it down to 1. I would be happy with either of those, honestly. I kind of feel like maybe The Girls would be fun. I'm kind of in the mood for like a weird thrillery book. Is The Girls a thriller? I think it's like a cult type of thing. A book that is Emery's favorite color, which is purple, I think. Let me go ask her. What's your favorite color? Yellow? Okay. So Emery said her favorite color is now yellow. Do you consider the Spell Shop yellow? I don't think it's yellow. As much as I would want it to be just like straight yellow, I think it's more like green and golds. Like I look at that and I see green, not yellow. So I'm gonna say I can't narrow it down again as much as I would want to. I don't think that counts. A weapon on the cover. Is there a weapon on the Spell Shop? Let me go look. So I don't think there's a weapon on the Spell Shop. I mean, there's a cat with wings. Does that count as a weapon? I don't think so, but we're gonna have to repick because there's no weapon on either of those covers. A book that matches my toenail polish. Okay, so my toenail polish is a warm orangey red. So an orangey red color, and it almost perfectly matches The Girls by Emma Cline, that color right on her face. That is the color of my nail polish. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's probably a perfect match. So it looks like we're gonna have to go with The Girls by Emma Cline. So Spell Shop, sorry, you gotta go. And as much as I want to show you guys my toenail polish, I'm not going to because you know how the internet is, but this is gonna be my book. All right, you guys, so this is the book I'm gonna be reading, The Girls by Emma Cline. Wasn't really thinking I was gonna read this right now, to be honest, but we're just gonna go with it because that's what it chose for me. So hopefully it's good. It looks like it's YA. Based on like how the pages are laid out and everything, this is very much like YA formatted, but I'm not exactly sure. And I'm pretty sure this has to do with cults. So we'll see. I've heard good things and bad things about this book, like kind of just mixed reviews, but I'm really curious. And if I don't like it, I can always DNF it, but this is the book we're gonna be reading. Okay, you guys, so I have read, let me see what page I'm on, 108 pages of The Girls by Emma Cline. And I'm actually enjoying this more than I thought I would. And what's weird is this is so far out of like my normal type of book that I would like. So this is basically about a girl who is about 13, 14, and well, she starts out as like 11, and then she kind of grows up a little bit to about like 14. And she has kind of like a difficult home life, and she just can't fit in. Like, she loses her best friend with like a fight that they had, and she just feels like her life is just kind of like crappy, and like her mom is frustrating. She's dating around a lot, and so she kind of just ignores her daughter, and she just is feeling very like alone, and like she can't find her place, which is very common for like a preteen to feel that way, you know what I mean? But one day she ends up seeing this bus full of girls, and she's just so interested in these girls. Like, who are these girls? And they're kind of like hippies, because this takes place in like the, I think, late 60s, but I'm not 100% sure. And she kind of keeps running into these girls. And one day her bike, she like falls off her bike because the chain falls off her bike. And so she's just sitting there, and she's so frustrated. And this bus full of girls drives by again. And one of the girls recognizes her, and she's like, oh, like, you know, I met you at the grocery store. And so she invites this young girl, Evie, the main character, onto the bus, and it's just this group of hippies, right? It's like a hippie commune, like cult, basically. And they have a leader named Russell, and they're all in love with Russell, and they're all just like think he's the greatest man, and it's like this very like, you know, happiness, love type of group, right? And they basically take her back to this like commune, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. So it's kind of like the process of this girl's fall into this cult is what I'm kind of getting. And it's actually kind of interesting because, for one, I think I've always been kind of interested in cults and like how people fall into cults and like just how it happens in general. But like the interesting part about this book is it's not a quick read. Like it's not like a fast-paced story, if you know what I mean. It's definitely slower. And the whole beginning of this book, like it doesn't really feel like, you know, you're jumping right into the story. It's a very slow pace. You're really getting to know your main character. You're really getting to know like all the people around her. And normally I don't like books like that. Normally I hate slow books, but there's something about this one that's really captivating me. And I think it is because we're following this like preteen girl, but it's through the eyes of an adult, right? Like it's her as an adult reflecting on this time in her life. So it's not like this book is written for a preteen girl. It's it's what being a preteen is like from an adult's perspective, because we've all lived through that really weird time. And it's like all that, those funny little intricacies of being a preteen, you know, wanting to be older than you are, wanting to act older than you are, you know, you're kind of naive, you're kind of immature, but you're trying to act more mature. And it's just a really, really interesting, like, way of looking at this main character, and it's really fascinating because I feel like we all can kind of relate a little bit to that time because we've all lived through it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And like I said, this doesn't feel like a book that I would normally really get into because of the slow pace of it, but I'm actually liking it. So I'm feeling a little bit surprised by that, but yeah, sometimes books just kind of surprise you. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So right now she's like at the commune, they're introducing her to everybody, and that is where we're at. So I like it so far, I do. So we're just gonna kind of see if I like it more as it goes on, but I'm actually going on a little vacation. So I'm gonna read this probably over that, and then when I get back, I will update you guys. So I'm about 295 pages in to this book, and I'm almost done with it, and I haven't updated too much, honestly, because not a lot happens in this book, I would say, but in this weird way, I'm still like interested in it. Like this book has a way of like captivating you while you read it, but also being kind of boring at the same time. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like captivating, and it's easy to just like read for like long periods of time, but like it's still kind of boring at the same time. And I think it might be her writing style. Like Emma Cline definitely has like a really beautiful, like lyrical writing style. Like you can tell she's a really good writer. She's really good with words, and she's really good at like making the characters and just the situation in general feel really realistic. Like it doesn't feel like a stereotype, or like she's writing like a stereotypical like angsty teenager. No, she's writing like what a real teenager feels and is like and thinks and all that kind of thing. And that's what makes it so good, I think, is because it's real and it's raw. And I think if that's more relatable and more fun to read than something that feels cliche or something. I don't know. There's just something about a writing style that I'm enjoying, but I would definitely say that the story isn't my favorite thing. I like a little bit more plot, a little bit more interest, a little bit more conflict. Like she's still kind of like experimenting with this little cult and like coming in and out. She's really like obsessed with the people in the cult and like the girls that are in it. And she's like mesmerized by them, but not really all that much has happened. And I think that there was like a murder or something like that. And I'm like almost done, and they haven't even got to the murder yet. So it's just kind of like a interesting way of telling this story. I don't hate it, but I wouldn't say I love it either. But that's my take. So I will let you guys know what I think when I'm done. Alright guys, so I just finished this book yesterday night, and I didn't want to like update then because I was really tired and I just wanted to go to bed, but I did finish it last night and I was really torn on this book. Like, this is such an interesting read, and I was like, is this like a 3.5 star? Is this a 4 star? Like, I can't decide what I'm gonna rate this. And the interesting thing about this book is the writing is outstanding. Like, Emma Cline is an amazing writer, and I think that this is a book that people should read if they want to become a better writer, because she's a really good writer. And it's really interesting actually because I just watched this video about poetry and what makes good poetry and what makes bad poetry and all this kind of stuff. And it was a really interesting video. Maybe I'll link it down below if I remember to, but what she was saying was what makes poetry good is when it's not cliche. And a really good way to make poetry not cliche is by using really like outlandish, random, and very oddly specific ways of describing things. So she gave us some examples, right? Like, if you're writing a story and you say, I was walking up to the house and there was trash bags by their front door, or there was trash around their house. It's like, okay, like that kind of gives me an idea of who these people are. Like, she walked up to the house, there's trash bags, blah, blah, blah. But if you were to say, I walked up to the door and there were wadded up tarps in the corner, and by their front door was a Christmas tree from 6 months ago with the broken glass balls still hanging off the branches. That paints such a like specifically real picture where you're like, okay, so now you're picturing things more clearly. You can really understand the type of people that, you know, these people are. Like, they just threw their 6-month-old Christmas tree out their door. They just left the ornaments on it. They're all broken. Like, they're too lazy to throw it away. And it really paints like a very vivid picture, and it's just so oddly specific. And that's what makes characters more human. It's what makes stories feel more authentic and realistic. And that is what is going to make your readers believe what you're saying. And it also helps with showing versus telling as well. And I think it was interesting, the fact that I watched that video while I was reading this book, because I was trying to figure out what about this book was making it so like real and so like raw, and it was that exact thing. Like, Emma Cline is so oddly specific with every single detail about every single character and about every like setting and things like that, but not in a way where it's like overly like described. She's not like an over describer, I would say, but she just finds these very specific ways to describe things and people that make them so real. And that's why this was so good. And what's interesting is, like, you know how people always say when they read Evelyn Hugo that she felt like a really realistic character? Like, they just wanted to go online and look up Evelyn Hugo and learn more information about her because she felt so real. That is kind of what Emma Cline did with one of the side characters. Her name is Suzanne. And she was such a realistic character. Like, everything about her character was so specific to Suzanne, and it made her feel like a real person. Like, after I read this book, I wanted to go online and like look up Suzanne and be like, what is Suzanne doing now? Where's Suzanne now? Like, what does Suzanne look like now? Because she made her character so just specifically Suzanne and so realistic, and that is why I loved this writing so much. And it really got me thinking about what makes good writing and what doesn't make good writing, and what makes a good story and what doesn't. Like, I just read The Last True Poets of the Sea, and it was a very interesting take because both girls in that book and in this book are like young adults. She's about 13 in this one, and in Last True Poets of the Sea she's like, you know, 15, 16, something like that. And Last True Poets of the Sea was so cliche. It was like very basic. Like, I'm a troublemaker. I got into so much trouble before I moved here. Like, I would go out every night and I would just like sleep around with people. And you're like, okay, cool. So she's a troublemaker. But for her, it was more like, these are the really dumb decisions that I have made, and this is why I made them, because I was insecure, because I was young and stupid, and I just wanted people to like me and adore me, and I was seeking affection, and I was self-conscious, and I wasn't getting enough love at home. I was lonely. I lost my friend, so I made really dumb decisions. I ignored all the red flags, and it makes the character likable in a way where she's not likable, but you like her because she's so real about why she is like making the bad decisions that she's making. And I loved it. Like, it just made me understand what is good writing and what isn't. So that's a whole spiel, but you know, sometimes you find those books where it's kind of like an aha moment, and then like I watched that video and everything came together, and it was just like, this is a great example if you want to be a better writer, how to be a better writer. So the story is the one area that kind of made me go, like, do I like love it, or do I just kind of so love it? I don't know. The thing about this book is it's very captivating. I was captivated through the whole thing, and I think it is her writing style. Like, you're just interested in these girls and like why all of this is happening and all this stuff, but at the same time there's not a lot that happens. Like, a lot of the book is her kind of falling into this cult and her ignoring all these red flags and her just kind of like wanting these girls that she thinks are really cool to like show her affection and to like her, and you know, wanting to be like them. And it's kind of like this whole like inner turmoil of this main character, and a majority of the book is that. And so it feels kind of like aimless, and there's definitely points in it where I was kind of like, okay, like where's this going? Like, can we like kind of get to the point? Because there is a murder in this, but it doesn't get to the murder until like the very end. But after reading the entire book, like, I actually kind of liked it. Like, the whole arc and everything, and just like getting to know these characters in such like an intimate way, I enjoyed the overall reading process. And so I feel very torn about it, and I don't know what I'm gonna rate it. I think I'm gonna rate it 4 stars, I think. So would I recommend this book? Yes, but just know you're getting into more of like a literary, more of a slower paced character study type of situation, which I know some people really love, and I do love it too sometimes, but not all the time. But for some reason this one really worked for me as far as like character study goes, because sometimes I get really bored with books like that, and I just think they're really boring and pointless and stuff. But this one wasn't. It was really interesting, and it kind of kept me captivated. But I will say it took me a little bit longer to read than I thought it would, which is interesting because the font isn't actually very small. So I thought it would be like a really quick read, but for some reason this book was one that I wanted to just slowly work through and just like take it all in, and I think that that was the best way to read it, at least for me. But I would recommend this if you like books like this. I don't know, it's one of those weird books where, you know, I think some people would really love it and some people are going to be so on it, and I will tell you there probably will be parts in this book that will be a little boring, but just push through them because I think the overall story is really good, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna give this 4 stars. Hopefully if any of you guys decide to read it, you like it as well. But that is it, you guys. And I hope you guys like this idea of me skipping TBR videos every other month and doing like some creative way of picking my next read and then reading it in a video and kind of talking about it. I think it's going to be kind of fun, and plus it's going to be like doing a TBR video like multiple times a month, which is going to be fun as well. So hopefully you guys like this idea and you guys like this video. If you guys have any questions about this book and you are curious about it in any way that I didn't explain, definitely comment down below and I will try to get back to your comments. And I think that's it, guys. So I will see you in my next video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.